Order the New York City Transit Committee meeting. Let's get started with our public safety announcements.
Your safety is of foremost importance to the MTA. Therefore, we ask that you listen to the following instructions. In the event of an emergency, notify emergency personnel in the room and 911 should be called. If an alarm sounds, wait for a public address announcement and follow instructions. If told to go to another floor or to evacuate the building, leave all unessential items behind and use stairwell A just across the main hallway or stairwell D down the hallway past the elevators. An automated external defibrillator, AED, for use by trained personnel is in the main hallway just past the elevators. Thank you and have a safe day.
Thank you. Let's move to our public speakers.
Good morning. We have 16 members of the public registered to speak today. As a reminder, we ask that all public speakers adhere to the MTA's rules of conduct and decorum. I would also like to remind our public speakers that in the interest of time and fairness to all speakers, we limit everyone to 2 minutes. Please be aware that there will be a warning beep to remind you that you have 30 seconds to conclude your remarks. The first speaker will be Jason Anthony, followed by Murray Bowden in person.
Good morning, Rich. Good morning, Hayla. And good morning, Jason. And good morning to the rest of the New York City Transit Committee. Jason Anthony here, like every single month. This month, I'm going to bring to your attention safety. Because since that I was present in the press conference of the governor that she did back on Saturday at GCT. After that press conference, some people, in other words, friends, brought to my attention some incidents, including subway surfers and videos that have been seen through TikTok. A person named Keith Sylvan. This person needs to be catched immediately because this person and others represents a threat to our system. And here's why. This person and others enters conductors' cabs, disrupts conductors and others. This needs to report it to the FBI, National Security, Homeland Security, and others. And even, Rich, you could report it to your friends up in Boston because we have seen videos that this has been happening to in Boston. So with this said, the federal authorities need to be contacted immediately, because this is a security breach. So we need to do more because our safety is at risk. And we don't want another incident to be added to our list. So I'll see you guys in the next meeting.
Our next speaker is Murray Bowden, followed by Charlton D'Souza remotely.
One of the most important aspects of transit is bus speeds. I'm glad to see we're in agreement on that one. Bus speeds can be increased if you tell the drivers the truth about where the lines on a road are. I confronted the New York State Commissioner of Transportation last couple of weeks ago. She was the chair of the NYCT meeting. New York State DOT ignores the lines on a road. What does it do? It encourages people to be aggressive drivers. Now, if you want the bus speeds to get better, and you're going to have to put some pressure on Danny in the first Bridges and Tunnels meeting this morning. I said, Danny, if you can't get your people to get the lines right on Bridges and Tunnels, we need a new president of Bridges and Tunnels. And it is your responsibility up there, guys, to see that aggressive drivers are put in their place and you put on legal road lines and discourage aggressive drivers to go up the line and then cut in the head, because you can stop it legally. What Danny said this morning is, well, we're following the book. Yeah, you're following the book. But if the book isn't the safest, quickest way to do it, do something else. That's what's going on around here. You're trying things that haven't been tried before. It's time to tell the truth to the driver that the yellow line is on the left and the white line is on the right. I can't do it. I'm failing. You guys got to do it. I'm leaving because that's all I can do here. Yes, I know. Thank you.
Thank you for your remarks. Our next speaker is Charlton D'Souza, followed by Alita Dupree.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Charlton D'Souza, President of Passengers United. And today we are declaring a state of emergency in the New York City subway system. And we are also launching a campaign at Passengers United called Subway Safety Second. And this new campaign is going to be protecting subway riders in the subway system. We are going to be having messages. We are going to be doing safety videos. And we are also going to be interviewing the victims of subway crime in the system to find out from them what they could have done better in these situations. I was at all these crime scenes. I was at the Far Rockaway incident. I was at the Roosevelt Avenue incident. It's just devastating. And the MTA board today, they have power. They have the power to demand a police officer in every subway station. And remember, the subway operates 24 hours. You have 472 subway stations. So there should be a police officer at every station, and the private security guards, they need to turn them into property protection agents. If y'all can't handle that, then maybe you need to ask the governor to send state troopers, National Guard. But right now, the subway is in a state of emergency. This morning, another poor victim was pushed on the tracks at East 149th Street. When is this going to end in our subway system? When are we going to feel a sense of safety? I'm tired of going to all these crime scenes. We need action now. I beg you guys, please. And Kathy Hochul, if you're listening to this, you know what to do, Kathy Hochul. Go to Albany, have a special session, and change these laws that lets violent criminals, repeat offenders, come in the subway system and victimize everyone again and again and again. It's like a cycle that does not stop. Thank you.
Thank you for your remarks. Our next speaker is Andy Polak. Our next speaker is Alita Dupree, remotely, followed by David Kupferberg in person.
Thank you. Good morning. Chair Haida Health System members. Alita Dupree, for the record, my pronouns are she and her. I'm going to talk about transit today. Still haven't made it to New York, maybe in November. I did go to Chicago, rode on the L. I said, well, I'm getting a taste of what I'm going to get in New York. And I really like riding the L and in Chicago, and it inspired me that when I come to New York, I'm going to get on the subway. I'm going to use it often. I'm going to use the OMNY. I told you about my feelings about OMNY. It's very important. And I want reduced fare OMNY. So we got to make that happen. But I'm going to own myself and use this subway because I believe in it. And I am simply an ordinary user of the subway and other systems of public transportation around the country. No more or less. Don't represent anybody but myself. Only represent myself, but surely many will agree with my sentiments. How do we build the best subway we can? Maintenance is essential to everyday do our inspections and our repairs. And a subway that runs on renewable energy. You know, I'm doing this in my home, talking to you on Zoom, charging up my iPad using solar power. And BART in California has 100% greenhouse gas-free electricity. I think we can do that too. And I hope that we can be more aspirational with our ADA work. We have the settlement. I'm pleased with that. 2055 is too long to finish the job. As we get more money out there, hopefully from congestion pricing, ADA should be expedited as much as possible, because I seek a system that strives for full participation. And I look forward to using it and enjoying it. Thank you.
Thank you for your remarks. Our next speaker is David Kupferberg, followed by Jean Ryan.
When conducting the bus network redesigns, no idea too big nor too small should be accommodated. Ideas that meet the goals of the bus network redesign should move on for further study. Two of those ideas were originally from Frederick Wells: the BX41 SBS extension to LaGuardia Airport, and the creation of a new limited stop route that I heretofore call the Q91. One goal of the BNRs is faster travel. The BX41 SBS extension would use the RFK Bridge and the Q91 the Throgs Neck Bridge, both known transit deserts. People would no longer be forced to take the subway via Manhattan and the Q50 via Flushing, respectively. This would save passengers 15 to 30 minutes travel time per trip. Another goal is better connectivity. The BX41 SBS extension would give all passengers direct connections between the Bronx and the wheelchair-accessible Astoria Boulevard station. Passengers could then transfer for the N and W lines, bypassing the overcrowded Lexington Avenue line. The Q91 would, for the first time, directly link Eastern Bronx and Eastern Queens. And lastly, accommodate future growth. LaGuardia Airport would become a hub not only for travelers, but also for those who would use the proposed Interborough Express. Should the MTA decide to end the IBX at LaGuardia Airport, transfers would be seamless. Separately, the Q91 could be extended at a later date beyond Queensborough Community College in order to give Eastern Queens riders more possibilities. Also bear in mind that the most heavily used segment of the M60 SBS is the Queens segment. The BX41 SBS extension to LaGuardia would therefore promote modal shift that would relieve congestion. Should the BX41 SBS not be extended nor the Q91 be created, it would be a missed opportunity for the MTA to actually practice what it preaches. Let's make the BX41 SBS extension to LaGuardia Airport and the Q91 a reality. Thank you.
Thank you for your remarks. Our next speaker is Jean Ryan, followed by Andy Pollack, remotely.
Good morning. I'm Jean Ryan. I'm president of Disabled in Action of Metropolitan New York, DIA for short. I want to talk about safety. There's a huge problem on accessoride broker service with drivers refusing to secure wheelchair users, both our wheelchairs and our persons. It is the law. It is a safe thing to do, but we cannot do it ourselves. Trying to talk to drivers does not help because often they do not speak English. And we're just stuck in the back of the vehicle and not secured to anything. Complaining to Accessoride, the TLC or 311 changes nothing and only takes up our time because nothing ever happens when we do. It's a systemic problem and it has to be solved by the TLC, the City Council, and the MTA working together. We can't solve this problem. Lastly, I want to talk about bathrooms. It's nice that the MTA is finally planning to open up some subway bathrooms. Not just unhoused people need bathrooms, we all do. And I am sure that we have all had an occasion where we had to go to the bathroom unplanned and could have used a subway bathroom were to be open. I know that I did 50 years ago when I was pregnant and going to work and got morning sickness. I didn't want to throw up on the train. I had to get off on my way to work. And, luckily there was a bathroom in that station. I still remember it because there was a cleaner there who was really helpful and nice to me, and it really made an impression. But we all need bathrooms. So I think we have to think about that when we open them. Thank you.
Thank you for your remarks. Our next speaker is Andy Polak, followed by Andy Quito, remotely.
Thank you, Megan. For the record, my name is Andrew Pollock. Well, Andy Pollock to be specific. That's P-O, 2 L's, A, C as in Chuck, K as in Kevin. So today, I would like to talk about subway safety. It has been a very, very brutal month alone, just as we speak. Where do we even begin? On October 14th, a teenager was shot and killed on the A train in Far Rockaway. On October 17th, an individual was struck and killed by a moving train in Jackson Heights, all because of a fight regarding a cell phone on the tracks. Nobody intervened, and if somebody had intervened, the fight could have at least been taken upstairs. And I know the situation at Jackson Heights very well. There's a lot of police upstairs. And it's a very busy station up there. And then let's go to October 19th. Somebody was stabbed with a kitchen knife on the Upper West Side. And the next day, somebody was stabbed with a samurai sword in Tribeca. This is not acceptable behavior. Our subways are the lifeblood of this city. We need to be reassured by our elected officials that we're going to feel safe on the subway. Right now, the NYPD is already being paid overtime as we speak. The governor clearly did not get her facts straight this past weekend. That is why our organization, Passengers United, is officially declaring a state of emergency in the transit system, and we're calling on TWU Local 100 to declare a safety stand down until there is at least one police or security officer on every subway station platform. So to conclude my remarks, I'm going to say a safer transit system is possible, and we have to attain it, and we have to do whatever is necessary. Thank you very much for hearing me out, and I expect to speak at the CPOC meeting regarding Queens Link later this afternoon.
Thank you for your remarks. Our next speaker is Andy Quito, remotely, followed by Lisa Daglian in person.
Hello, you guys can hear me? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, good morning. My name is Andy Quito, and I am a subway rider addressing this outrage of a violent October this month on the New York City transit system. Already this year, 9 people dead, many others injured, grieving, they're being traumatized. All because, Kathy Hochul and Eric Adams don't want to do a damn thing about our safety. I came here to talk about this subway safety in the plans to address this. I'm sick and tired of going into the news media and exposing these situations and exposing our politicians and the MTA board not wanting to do anything about our safety. 15-year-old kid killed in Far Rockaway. A 50-year-old man, because I'm half Mexican, he's Mexican. He died in Jackson Heights, Roosevelt Avenue on the F train. And my dad was 2 hours late. A lot of people were left stranded, all because of one individual. And then now, what is it going to take? Sick and tired of going into the crime scenes and drifting into the media about this. Just last week, I saw a video going viral. Huge fight at Jamaica Center. I know Andy Pollock did not address this because he doesn't care, but what is it going to take? Okay, we need police. We do need police, but we need to change our laws, our bail reform laws, to keep these criminals off of the subways and into behind bars. And the EDPs, they need to get the help they need. The subways are not a shelter for them. It's for the fair paying passengers to ride to get from point A to point B. All right? We need proactive. All right, the police already wore off, and we're already thin on the police officers due to the, budget cuts made by New York City.
Thank you. Please conclude your remarks.
Decision.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Lisa Daglian, followed by Christopher Greif in person.
Morning, I'm Lisa Daglian, Executive Director of the Permanent Citizens Advisory Committee to the MTA PCAC. Last week was filled with news of horrific crimes in the subway, and unsurprisingly, riders are concerned about their personal safety. That's reflected in survey responses that show that personal safety and security is their number one concern, and fewer people behaving erratically would encourage more riders to get back on board. That's why we were buoyed by Saturday's announcement about the new Cops, Cameras, and Care initiative. Getting riders where they need to go safely is job one, and by essentially doubling down on funding and adding not just more police patrols and unarmed guards near turnstiles, but changing the way police are deployed, including adding more NYPD in the mix, and also increasing services, help, and beds for those in need. The mayor, governor, and MTA have shown that rider safety is their number one priority. No doubt about it. Random attacks and shovings by people with mental illnesses are downright scary, but they're not what the majority of us experience every day. Still, it's critical that riders' perception of crime and safety matches the reality. And continuing to focus on this issue by increasing funding and support demonstrates that commitment. Since the launch of the SOS program on January 6th, followed by the Subway Safety Plan, we've begun to see improvements, but clearly more needs to be done. We're seeing that more with dedicated resources that focus not just on fighting crime, but getting help for those in need. The fact that there is strong teamwork putting the needs of riders first is key to making it successful. That teamwork in and of itself is almost a first. We look forward to seeing continued progress to getting more riders back on board and our city and region back on track. Thank you.
Thank you for your remarks. Our next speaker is Christopher Greif in person, followed by Emily Borgard remotely.
Good morning, Christopher D. Greif. One thing I'm going to add is also, Chief, I want to thank you one thing because NYPD does respond in Brooklyn. The other week, I was heading to Atlantic Terminal, Brooklyn, at AK Barclays Center. The NYPD Transit 34 and the 70th Precinct responded to a person, and they did responded. And I have to tell you, they did a fantastic job because, yes, our train was in the station. Somebody thought he can fly in the air, think he's Superman. I'm not going to say the other word because it's inappropriate to say that word. But at least that the situation was handled very well, very professional, and got the person off the rails. Lucky he didn't get hurt. Thank God there was no power on the local track because of track work. Thank God timing was that. But there are ways of advocating to get more NYPD to work together. And people got to remember, it's not just our elected officials we have to go see, but go to their local NCOs, the community council meetings. That's what they're there for. And we need to remember that we need to attend, but we need to advocate and work together. I think we're forgetting that safety is very important on our subways and our buses. But if we see something, say something. If we don't use that, why are we traveling on these trains and buses? Instead of getting frustrated and upsetting, we need to work together. The main thing I'm also here to support, and I really want to do this quickly, is the R211 trains. I love those trains. They're ADA accessible, and I want to make that clear. ADA accessible, because our news stations have not said that this morning. And the reason is because of Edith Prentice, me, and Deborah Greif, and Ann Menino, and other advocates who have been fighting for better accessibilities on these new trains, which I love the R211. I know that these trains will be really well run, as well as cameras on those trains. So I'm here to support that as well, and support the NYPD, because I always support you guys. Thank you.
Thank you for your remarks. Our next speaker is Emily Borgard, followed by Michael Ortiz remotely.
Hi, yes, thank you. I hope you can all hear me. As a social worker, I want to address what also is a safety issue in another way. We have OMNY that is out in stations now, and it's great that after 12 swipes, people get to ride free. That does not include everybody, because anyone who is over the age of 65 or disabled, has a reduced fare card, they do not get to ride a week free with 12 swipes. So we are targeting those groups, and then you wonder why people are upset and violent and jumping turnstiles and causing issues. You guys unleashed a program that does not allow everybody to be included, but you're asking everybody to be included. You're asking everybody to work together. And at the same time, they don't get a week free, and the people that need the week free, because they have reduced fares, they need it the most. And it's not possible because this program was not tested for the reduced fare cars. So I just have to wonder how a program was created that before putting it on the buses and on the trains, etc., you did not make sure that it included everybody and allow it so that guess what? People are already pissed off at the MTA, and that's one more fuel to the fire that they are not allowed to get a week free. So I urge everybody to consider that, because there's more violence going on. There's more violence. We're seeing it, and we have to look at all the aspects that are contributing to that. So thank you. I hope everyone considers that.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Michael Ortiz remotely, followed by Deborah Greif in person.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
All right. So we're going to be talking more about the proposals of the Brooklyn bus redesign. We have been seeing a lot of things going on with the Brooklyn bus network, but it does need a little touch up. I mean, for example, the B41 Limited runs in two sections between Kings Plaza and Bergen Beach. It can easily be split into two routes, calling it the B41A and the B41B. This can reduce confusion and will allow people to have quicker travel times. And not only that, we also need to be sure that people do not lose their bus stops. And another thing is that bus stops should be spaced every 4 blocks. And that should be a main priority, because we can't have the bus stops spaced a mile apart. Now, the next bus route I propose is the B16 bus route. The B16 bus route is split into 2 parts, 13th and 14th Avenue. And I think it's best to straighten the bus through 12th Avenue, because it already goes through it twice. So why not have the bus straighten through 12th Avenue until reaching 60th Street? That's a much better way. And another thing is that few more things need to be added to the Brooklyn bus network. A couple of extensions could also be added. And of course, you also got the B67 and B69. They all are pretty much the same route. But I think you should also consider changing up the routes from B67A to B67B, eliminating the use of the B69. I think it will be perfectly used for more people and will reduce passenger confusion greatly. All the other routes can stay the same. To make up for the loss on 14th Avenue, you can also have a bus through 15th Avenue to accommodate the people on 14th Avenue, and the bus on 12th Avenue to accommodate the people on 13th Avenue. Thank you.
Thank you for your remarks. Our next speaker is Deborah Greif, followed by Joe Rappaport in person.
Good morning. My name is Deborah Greif. I want to address something the previous speaker, not the previous one, but the one before. I don't understand what you mean that nobody with the disability community was contacted. I am one of the testers for the half-fare OMNY card. So I'm kind of insulted that you didn't even realize that or answered when the MTA went to every disability group to ask if you wanted to be a tester. I have been testing the card. It is working a lot better. Only one issue, but I did address it to the police department. I thank you, Chief. The only thing is because of my walker, as you know, I've said, I tap the card. People push me so they can slip in for free. I brought this up to the police department because I don't want people with disabilities who have to use, and I also have an AutoGate card, Metro card, so that I'm not blamed for letting persons come through quickly thinking I'm letting people evade the fare. No. I have to tap it, I wait, and before I can even get through, they're pushing me. And thankfully I haven't fallen yet. I also want to say that I appreciate that the police are there. I would like to see more police, but I also want the community to start showing up to precinct councils. I would also like the transit district police departments to also have their own precinct councils. I'm a retired council president for the 6-1. Transit District 34 used to come to us so I could help them with the issues. They want their own council. So I do hope everybody can do that. And please, I can't wait for the R2, the new train. Why? Because that means I'll have an easier time getting on, even if I have to get on, not where the boarding area is, I'll be able to get on. Thank you.
Thank you for your remarks. Our next speaker is Joe Rappaport in person, followed by Sally Wolf remotely.
Okay. Good morning. I'm the coronavirus, COVID-19. You've heard of me. I'm so happy to be here. I'm really everywhere these days, as you know. But I thought I'd drop by here at the MTA because, first of all, it's so great that virtually no one here is wearing a mask. You're going to sit next to each other for an hour or two, just like on the subway or Access-a-Ride, and that gives me a great chance to infect you. And you know, I spread pretty quickly these days, so if you don't wear masks, it just keeps me going. So keep those masks off. You know, we're coming up on Halloween, and I have to say this is not my favorite holiday. And you know why, right? It involves masks. And masks prevent the transmission of COVID-19, in other words, me. So any holiday that involves masks is scary. Luckily, here at the MTA, you don't take masks too seriously, even though study after study shows that masks can prevent the transmission of COVID-19. Well, masks are the last thing I want, so I wanted to thank you for keeping me going. Great job. Not only did you get rid of the transit mask mandate, but then you put up ads telling people it doesn't matter if they wear masks. You do you. I just love that. And now you say, oh, we took those down, don't worry. But you know what you haven't done. You haven't put up new ads telling people to wear masks. You haven't voted to impose your own mask mandate. Instead, you just tried to act as if COVID, me, disappeared. But here I am, infecting New Yorkers every day. Some of them get really sick and die. So you've made an airborne virus happy. Keep up the good work, helping me.
Thank you for your remarks. Our next speaker is Sally Wolf remotely, followed by Michael Ring in person.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. I'm Sally Wolf. We met last month. I am an immunocompromised New Yorker and train rider who suggested the idea for masked cars or sections of cars after walking miles from my home in Flatiron to Memorial Sloan and to Sinai this summer. I'm back because I've seen no progress, no pilot of an idea that both Fox 5 and WPIX felt important and accessible enough to highlight for their viewers, to interview me after I spoke to you. But they also said they reached out to you for response and got none. So I'm back taking up more of my time and yours because this idea would enhance the physical and mental well-being of so many New Yorkers. And it's within reach because it's financially and logistically accessible and culturally aligned with Americans who want to do themselves, as you said, you do you. Logistically and financially cheap. You guys are so good at putting up signs. It's easy for you, seemingly, because the day after the governor relaxed the mandate, signs were up all over, quickly, prolifically. You do it every weekend when there are subway reroutes. We can easily put signs in sections of trains, either cars or little areas, saying, in this area, please mask. And here's the beauty. Science shows people will do the right thing when it's easy and within reach. If they clearly know their rights are not being impeded upon, Americans who love their independence because they can self-select, then great, they will do that. The mandates didn't work. It became political. We all know that story because people felt like their rights were being infringed upon. But this way, everyone's rights are honored. Everyone's need for well-being in whatever way they define it is honored. And people like me can ride the subway, take the bus safely, and we can actually be your riders again, which we want to be. But it's really hard right now. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next and final speaker is Michael Ring in person.
Hiya. First, I want to offer a visual description for people who need it. I'm just a plain old white guy wearing a green hat that says Disabled in Action, the organization I happen to be representing. I am speaking as one of the lucky 1,200 people who were in the on-demand pilot program for Accessoride. I get to use an app in real time to come and go when I want to come and go, just like probably everybody sitting on this side of the room. You don't have to plan your day 24 to 48 hours in advance when you want to come and go. I understand it's a pilot program and it's winding down. It was supposed to wind down before COVID, and we heard rumors that it was going to be capped as to how many rides you can do in any given period, or even worse, how much the ride can cost. You'd only get the first 15 or something like that dollars covering the ride, which would in fact make it useless because $15 doesn't get you a ride mostly anywhere by Uber, which is basically what's doing it. So I'm just hoping that in the next phase of the program, you won't break it too much so that, and I'm hoping I stay in it, but that's just for me. But one of the things you didn't do in this pilot program is choose a random sample of people to be in it. I wasn't lucky to be in it. I asked to be in it. The other people that are in it, some are in this room, we're the movers and shakers and complainers, the very, very active Accessoride users. So I'm hoping that in the next phase, if you want some real data, you choose some random people who use it randomly. And I have 30 seconds left. I want to talk about safety on the subway because I took the train here today. I live in Park Slope, and I know the safest way for me to get here was to take the subway. It's a lot safer than taking Accessoride or driving. I don't think the MTA has a safety problem. It's not 1985 anymore. I think you guys have a public relations problem. It's a huge system. I feel really safe getting on it. I don't know anyone who's been in danger. Social media is blowing a lot of things out of important. Well, I feel safe. Thank you, police.
And that concludes our public comment portion of today's meeting. Thank you.
Okay, thank you to all our speakers. I now would like a motion to accept the minutes from the September 22 meeting. Andrew?
Just a important correction on page 43 and 46. Our Chief Customer Officer's last name, Riera, is misspelled. It should be R-I-E-A-R-A.
Okay. Do I have a motion as amended? Lisa, second. David, Randy. Okay, all those in favor? Against? Okay, motion passed. Rich, are there any changes to the work plan?
Not this month.
Okay, you want to start off with your president's report?
I will. Thank you, Madam Chair. So good morning, everyone. Moving into the fall, we're glad to see customers coming back to the system with increased frequency as schools and businesses resume in-person activities. September was the first month since before the pandemic where we saw more than 90 million subway trips taken in total, and we are pleased to report that that's about an average weekday ridership figure of about 3.4 million, with a new weekday record high of 3.874 million on September 21st. Buses also recorded a record high, 1.4 million or so average weekday rides in September, surpassing the high from last October. And paratransit also continues to recover customers faster than any other mode in transit, with ridership hitting in August almost 85% of the August 2019 number. Reinvigorating our own business practices to improve both our customers' experience and travel time with our North Star goal of improving customer satisfaction is what we're focused on. Satisfaction in September for subway and paratransit customers held steady in September from August, but we saw a slight dip in bus customer satisfaction as we believe the increased ridership and traffic in the city led to increased travel times and wait times across the board, which tends to happen each fall. But we continue to be laser focused on improving service in measurable ways to counter that trend. As we are seeing in our monthly bus pulse numbers, wait times are becoming a more important factor in New Yorkers' decisions to utilize transit for their commutes. Customer journey time and performance also ticked up in September in line with our seasonal trends, which show that our customer service does correlate with customer perception. We can show that slide next. Nope, the first slide. I think you skipped. There we go. I just wanted to point out, this is probably intuitive, but just to show that our customer impacts, our customer journey times correlate directly to traffic within the city. And so how can we address this at MTA? How can this board, this committee address this? Again, you voted on and you've encouraged us and supported us in several ways. First, additional bus lanes. We've talked about this working with the city DOT and working with the mayor and his team to accomplish 150 bus miles in his first term. We are increasing automated bus lane enforcement, our so-called cameras to reduce bus lane infringements. We're completing our bus network redesigns. Coming soon will be Brooklyn. We'll be releasing that by the end of the year, right, Judy? Judy nods in affirmative. And a focus on subway performance and bus performance, looking line by line to see where we can make improvements. But nearly 1/3 of our bus customers told us last month that we need to improve wait times to increase their satisfaction, a figure nearly 3 times higher than any other factor chosen. So one of those main levers we have, as I mentioned, to reduce wait times and increase speeds is both bus lanes and enforcement. So new bus lanes along 21st Street in Western Queens, running from Long Island City, Astoria, serving the Q66, the 69, and the 100 routes, will improve service for about 29,000 riders in that vibrant community. And as mentioned, enforcement is also key as well. New York City DOT and we have agreed to expand the ABLE program to cover up to 85% of existing bus lanes by the end of 2023, with an additional 900 cameras coming out, 300 this year, 600 next year, to ensure that when the bus lanes are established, we're enforcing that those are for buses only. And as I mentioned, the implementation of redesigns is another key focus area. Again, we're excited to mention that the Bronx local redesign, as you all know, launched in June, and local bus performance in the Bronx during the first 2 weeks of school this year saw improvements in reliability, travel time, and speed compared to the same time frame in September of 2019. The routes modified for travel time savings, the BX24, the BX40 and 42, the BX36, have seen reduced run times. And we've seen also increased speeds on 13 modified routes. We continue to have robust public comment on the Queens bus redesign, which we'll be releasing a final draft early next year, and final draft meaning we will still take public comment, and then putting out as I mentioned, the Brooklyn bus redesign by the end of this year for comment, and we'll have a robust public comment period in 2023. Customers are also been asking us for better weekend service, and I'm pleased to we're pleased to announce, but I'm pleased to introduce Jose LaSalle, sitting here at the dais in the orange tie. He's obviously a Mets fan, and he's looking very Metish today, blue and orange. He has hit the ground running in the first 6 weeks, being our weekend service czar. And as you can see, just since he joined, we see an uptick on this slide of on-time weekend performance. And what has he been focused on? Limiting the length of slow speed zones, and this is all construction related, by the way. Improving service through merge points, out in the field, conducting field visits to see where we can improve, creating a database for best practices to apply for future work. Also, we're seeing, as we're hiring more crews, we're making sure that we have more crew availability on the weekends now as well. Jose and Craig and our friends in C&D are sitting on Mondays having what we're calling a Monday morning quarterback session, not only discussing the Jets, Bills, and Giants, but talking about how service was over the weekend and how we could better improve. So the coordination and accountability across the organization to improve weekend service is key. And Madam Chair, hot off the press, last Saturday was the highest Saturday ridership we've had since COVID began, 2.4 million subway riders. So again, to make sure that we're providing important, good weekend service is critical to bring our recreational riders back and our occasional riders back to show we can get it done.
Jose, are you taking credit for that? You should. Your mic.
Team at OP helps out a lot, the folks at DOB. It's all in the coordination effort that we're going to make improvements. It's a team effort.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Andrew.
Yeah, Rich, it was good to hear you speak about trying to get buses sped up. One of the things that I think would really help is transit signal prioritization. My community board, for which I am Transportation Committee co-chair, has recommended 12 different locations to the Department of Transportation, and we can't get any action on any of them. and I know it would speed up buses because we can easily see the choke points. So if you have any influence on getting those accomplished, we would appreciate it.
We can certainly bring those to DOT. I know that transit signal priority has also been something that they've committed to and are committed to in those particular instances. We can certainly bring them. But I have to say that Commissioner Rodriguez has been a close partner with us and has asked that he and I actually personally meet more regularly on these issues to continue to roll out. So we're excited about, the mayor's strong commitment and the city's partnership to continue to improve bus. So thank you for that. Maybe just moving on to just service delivery, the Department of Subways, and kudos to Demetrius and his team for developing new dashboards and tools to support a daily, weekly, and monthly internal review process, I think he's called Substat, across multiple aspects of service delivery, from maintenance to line management. In fact, some of the committee members were at the RCC just a couple of weeks ago and heard about that, but Demetrius and team are really digging in granularly to how we're operating our service. I'll talk about the A-line in just a moment. But teams in each unit review the most impactful events by the day to identify root causes and develop strategies to prevent further incidents. Line management also assesses daily performance in order to pinpoint where actions can be taken to improve reliability. By addressing the root causes of common delays types prior to incidents, we can reduce delays due to asset-related failures in areas like car equipment and signals, while using line performance reviews to reduce the impacts of other delays on overall service. With a more focused line management, the A-line initiative is realizing weekday performance is actually trending in the positive direction. So here in this final slide, you can see Demetrius and team, and maybe actually Demetrius, I'll let you maybe comment on this.
Yeah, why don't we hear from Demetrius? Let him. Sorry.
No worries.
The chair finds my voice monotonous.
No, I just think, he should take pride in his work and he should report on it.
Oh, thank you. The management team has been all over this. The A-line is one of the more challenging lines. We've kind of acknowledged that it's one that takes a lot of effort, a lot of manpower to be able to address. So the management meets regularly to be able to talk about the progress on it, to look at the terminal operation itself to see what type of steps can be taken. They've looked at the discharging of trains at select terminals. What's taking longer than usual, why a specific train is not getting cleared, and how that bangs up the train against the trains that follow it. There's a full review process with operations planning to take a look at future schedules and see what adjustments need to be made specifically for that line. And then specifically the speed increases, working with the speed team, looking at the crews themselves. So it has been, it is not something that we've, when Rich challenges us to work at the A-line, it was not something that we took lightly because it's a challenge. I mean, the line itself has specific things that make it difficult to improve. But, we've made some really great strides and very proud of the team for continuing their efforts on it.
Great, thank you.
I have a question.
Sorry.
Hi. No problem. Thank you, Chair. So I'm looking at the results here, A-line weekday performance. Demetrius, between OTP, which is on-time performance, I assume based on a schedule that you have, CJTP, which I believe is customer journey time performance, and then service delivered, which metric do you think most touches what the rider sees, right? So if the A-line is supposed to be delivering 12-minute headways anyway, then having a train come at 14 minutes, that's not great for them, but they're already frustrated that they're, waiting the 12-minute headways. So just curious, what is the average headway on the A-line, and then which metric is the most representative of how you're really doing?
It's a great question. I think for us operationally, we like to lean toward the old metrics of on-time performance, run the trains, try to get the trains to the terminal on time. But I think from a customer's perspective, if you're not commuting from end to end, it's really a combination of service delivered and customer journey time. The right balance of the two of those, if those two markers are increasing, it shows that we're providing better service to customers.
And I'm sorry, just to follow up, what is the average headways on the A train these days? For weekdays, rush hour? You can get back to me. I was just curious. Sorry.
I think I will.
Okay.
I want.
It depends where on the line you are, quite obviously. If you're Rockaway Boulevard and west, it's better than east. Yes.
I'll get back to you.
In fact, we can provide, I think, maybe just the average headways across the system per day, per time, just so you have a sense. So, but we are running pre-pandemic service, so it's pretty good. Just a couple more notes. We also remain committed to providing the best service for all of our customers, and that includes our customers with disabilities. Earlier this month marked 1 year since the passage of the Elevate Transit Zoning for Accessibility program to accelerate transit accessibility upgrades. In just 1 year, this program has provided 4 ADA upgraded projects across Manhattan, Queens, and Brooklyn. The program encourages partnerships with private developers to secure future MTA ADA projects and commitments by private developers to enhance accessibility at subway stations at no cost to MTA or city taxpayers. September also marked the successful launch of MTA's Open Stroller Pilot Program, which will allow our customers with strollers to board buses marked with a stroller decal outside the bus to utilize a dedicated onboard space to park their stroller with their child inside safely, also marked with a decal. These spaces are purpose-built and will not reduce accessibility for our customers requiring priority seating, and we will evaluate the relative success of the space types while taking community feedback into account. Making transit work better for everyone, including increased satisfaction. We're hoping this pilot will yield great results, and we'll look to scale it in the future. Finally, Madam Chair, driving all these improvements would not be possible without our people, and so we're also dedicated to improving the employee experience. I've had several town halls this year where employees shared their ideas, and I'm listening to employees when visiting locations to get their perspectives, whether folks are asking for a new monitor or a new chair or a new roof for that matter. Seeing tangible results to their requests can really enhance performance while showing that we really do care at MTA. And in response to the alarming incidents of violence against our employees, I'm also calling each and every employee reported to be a victim of assault because they deserve to know that we care about their safety and want to make personally sure that they're okay. And on that point, I had the opportunity to attend the American Public Transportation Association meeting in Seattle a couple weeks back, where I joined a number of transit CEOs from around the country to call for a national summit on the issue of transit worker assaults. This is not just a New York problem. It is a national one, and as such, requires national attention. That concludes my remarks.
Andrew.
Rich, since you mentioned the APTA event that you were at, was there any widespread discussion about federal support, operating support for transit systems nationwide?
It's a great question. The answer is yes. I had the chance to talk to, in particular, the CEOs of the other large transit agencies, Chicago, Washington, the Bay Area were all in attendance, and it's a huge issue, right? And so, you know, I think folks sometimes confuse the fiscal challenges that we have here at MTA as being an MTA problem or some mismanagement or something. It can't be further from the truth. You know, with 65% of our customers back, and MTA was one of the most successful agencies in the United States for fare box recovery ratio and deriving our own revenues, that's a challenge. But it is a challenge for the other major systems as well. And, you know, I expect, you know, probably coming soon, there'll be some kind of a collective, you know, push or statement from all of us, but it's an issue for the other legacy systems as well.
And it would pay for itself, as all of these transit systems are the economic engines of their respective regions and cities.
There's no doubt about it. You know, WMATA is as important to D.C. as New York City Transit is to New York. As someone mentioned, I think one of our public commenters that she recently took the Chicago system. I mean, that is, you know, it's a challenge for certainly, and for smaller systems as well, not just the legacy large systems.
Q, you're going to present us on you're going to present to us an update on the OMNY and reduced fare program.
Absolutely. Good morning.
Good morning.
Madam Chair, I am elated to be giving this update to this board. A couple of months ago, you heard me say that OMNY was coming for reduced fare customers. We heard from public commenters earlier this morning all that they've been missing, and I am proud to present that OMNY is live and turned on for reduced fare customers. After months of testing, piloting, and training, we are proud to announce that OMNY is here for reduced fare customers. Seniors and persons with disabilities who have reduced fare Metro cards today can now apply for that half fare benefit on any payment device that can be used with OMNY. That's either a credit or debit card, in a digital wallet or on their phone or watch or any contactless credit or debit card that you can use to tap for payments at retail and other locations. The MTA is proud to be the first major transit system to offer reduced fares on customers' personal payment devices, giving seniors and people with disabilities more choices on how to pay their fares. We have heard from many reduced fare customers who are ready to tap and go with their cards and smart devices and are happy to offer this option for them. Because we are the first to launch this type of program on this scale, we are making this announcement today after extensive testing, which started early this summer, including a soft launch with several hundreds of customers. We've heard their feedback and used it to inform improvements to the customer training and transition experience for OMNY call centers and agents, and to develop customer educational resources and marketing of new features. But as we heard earlier from Deborah in her remarks, this is an iterative process. We're learning as we go and we'll continue to make enhancements. We have worked for months to verify that every step along the way, from switching from MetroCard to OMNY to tapping at a bus or subway, works easy for all of our customers. There are many benefits that we are unlocking today. As we've heard from many on this board and writers speaking at our meetings, this is a big deal for this population. Over 1 million customers in our reduced fare program. Contactless payment is more accessible for many riders. And having the option to use your card or device means one less card to keep track of or need to replace, fewer visits to our customer service centers for card help, and more seamless experience in our system. Using a personal payment device can also mean no more preloading value onto a card to travel, and switching to OMNY gives our reduced fare customers the chance to benefit from weekly fare capping programs, where you find free rides after your 12th ride each week. Reduced fare customers will also have access to OMNY accounts to track their trips and payments just like our full fare customers. So right now, any senior or customer with a disability in our reduced fare program can make the switch to OMNY online from the convenience of their homes at any time of day of their choosing. Our OMNY digital assistant walks the customer through this process step by step in just a few minutes. In a moment, you'll see the process demoed in our new video. The OMNY call center can provide customer support throughout the process, and I am personally visiting with those reps to make sure that they are ready to support this launch. Not only are they ready, but they are excited to help so many of our customers get tapping with OMNY. We think many customers will love the convenience of this digital assistant, and we know that because as of this morning, over 1,400 customers have made the transfer to OMNY on their own. But we know it's not for everyone. That's why we are also working to set up OMNY equipment at locations throughout the system and the city for customers who prefer to get set up with OMNY in a physical way. For customers who do not have their own cards or devices, just preferred an OMNY card, we will provide a free MTA-issued reduced fare OMNY card starting next year. We know that not everyone has a bank card or smart device, or that people may just prefer not to use them. Though we encourage our reduced fare customers to give this new option a try, it will not be the only choice offered for customers to use their reduced fare benefits in the OMNY world. But for customers who are ready to tap and go this way, we are ready for you. We look forward to hearing from you as you make the switch and welcoming many thousands of new customers into OMNY. Finally, one note on what's next. We are completing all of the testing for OMNY for Access-Ride customers, and we'll be rolling that pilot out soon. OMNY for Access-Ride will give great benefits, giving customers a non-cash option and allowing for new ways to track rides and payments and consolidate cards. More on all of this in the coming months as we get that program up and running. Madam Chair, I would also like to give a special thank you to our team. It literally takes a village to do this. And I want to give a special shout out to the OMNY PMO, Amy, Jordan, Dante, Liz, Suhail, and of course, Maria and Mike Linas in our reduced fare program, who have been nothing less than amazing. Thank you.
Great work, you. Any questions? Yes, Randy, and then Medora.
Thank you. Look forward for that. Yeah, you saved me having to ask a question by one of my friends about the Access-Ride. The other question is the fare capping. So this is available for seniors or it's not?
So fare capping is available in an OMNY environment. So every reduced fare customer who makes the transfer to OMNY can also make use of fare capping, yes.
And the last question is the people who still have the senior Metro cards, which is probably the majority of them, how can they get that money refunded to them if they switch over to Omni? Because I've been speaking to people that, are in that community.
That's right, and we've been speaking about this. We are encouraging those customers to wear out those account balances. Those customers who do have a balance, we will be providing that refund to them. But of course, the recommendation is for them to use up that value as they make the transfer.
Yeah, but like Easy Pass, when you get to a certain level, it automatically re-ups the money, so they need to be told at some point that they
cut it off.
To cut it off, that's right.
Yes, and we will be communicating that to the customers. No value will not go unused or not returned.
Application for it, or how will you know that they are happy to leave it there and run their balances down or get a refund?
We'll be opening up those lines of communication. Our reduced fare group, Mike and Maria, will be communicating that to customers so that they know who to contact and who to have that conversation with.
Sorry.
Thank you so much, Komel. First, your presentation answered the majority of my questions, so I really appreciate it. This is a really exciting day. We're talking about 1 million people who can come into the Omni system. Am I hearing correctly that it's an opt-in system, that it's not going to be a default, so people do have to take some steps to sign up and transition?
Yes, there is a sign up for that operation. Right now it is digital.
Yeah.
And we still have MetroCard for another year or so.
Okay. And then interested in what we're doing with, and maybe this is not your area of expertise because I know you're focused on accessibility, but I'm interested in student Metro cards and fare fares, and when those are, is that part of this reduced fare, or is that a different kind of program and onboarding?
So that is outside of my area of expertise, but I do know that reduced fare population that I mentioned does not capture the students.
Okay.
This is specific to seniors and persons with disabilities.
Okay, so that's just something that, want to highlight, that there's another bigger population out there, student Metro cards, and those that use fare fares, and getting them into the Omni system is great. Again, this might be outside of your scope, and so I'd love kind of an overall Omni update when that is possible. But, what is the market share right now of Omni in terms of, the full MetroCard environment? I'm very curious about that because that gives us opportunity for other transportation policy endeavors that we want to pursue.
I invite you board member, to join us at CPOC, where we will have the Omni PMO presenting, and a lot of those questions will be answered in her presentation later today.
Great,
But
thank
just
you
in
very
terms
much.
of market share, the subway is about 38, almost 40% during the
Okay.
week. Bus is still lagging. It's about
Okay.
20%. So we have work to do there.
Okay, great, thank you.
Any other questions of Q? Thank you, Q. Okay, now we move on to the.
Actually,
go ahead.
thank you so much. We have a short 2-minute video
Great.
to
Show the-
showcase how this actually works.
Press play.
We've got big news for reduced fare riders. Now you can sign up to tap for your subway and bus rides with Reduced Fare Omni. If you currently have a reduced fare MetroCard, you can link it to your own contactless credit or bank card, smartphone, or wearable. Then just tap to pay half fare and get free transfers on subways and MTA buses. Using your own card or device means you never need to load value or carry an extra card. And you can track your trips and payments online with a free, secure Omni account. If you're ready to start tapping, here's how. First, go to omni.info and sign up for a free Omni account. Once you verify your account, look for the Digital Assistant button in the lower right corner of the screen. It works on your desktop and on mobile devices. Make sure you have your reduced fare MetroCard number and the number on your credit or debit card you'll use to pay for your trips. You can either use a contactless credit or debit card or any card loaded into the digital wallet on your smartphone or watch. Once in the Digital Assistant, click Switch from Reduced Fare MetroCard to Omni. Follow the instructions to log into your Omni account and connect reduced fares to the card or device you want to tap with. When you see the success screen, you're ready to start tapping. Just remember that you can only get reduced fares using one payment method. That means if you sign up for Reduced Fare Omni with your phone, you should always tap with your phone. If you tap with anything else, like a debit card, you won't get reduced fare, even if the card and your phone are linked to the same account. And if you don't want to tap with your own device or card, reloadable reduced fare Omni cards will be available in 2023. Need further assistance? Call the Omni call center from 8 to 5 or send a request anytime at omni.info. That's everything you need to know to tap and go with reduced fare Omni. Thanks for riding with us.
Great, thank you, Q. Okay, we now move to Chief Wilcox. Chief, you want to update us on everything that happened over the weekend?
Thank you. I guess it's good afternoon now. So last month, when I sat here at this meeting, I spoke on how we had come out of the summer months of May to Labor Day with overall crime reductions when compared to pre-pandemic reporting years, and that was true. But coming out of that period, from September 30th into October up to the present, we have now experienced a number of significant acts of violence on our subways, including 2 stabbing homicides on the 4 and the L trains in the Bronx and Brooklyn, and as mentioned, the shooting death of a 15-year-old on the A train at Mott Avenue out in the Rockaways. Then, we saw an incident in Queens last Monday, which is similar to what we've seen play out many times over this year with assaults, where a verbal altercation quickly builds up to a physical confrontation that leads to violence. In that incident at 74th and Roosevelt, in that time frame from when the victim walks past the suspect, inadvertently knocking his phone to the roadbed, to when they begin to dispute, and then when they struggle, leading to our victim falling back in front of the train, that took in the area of half a minute. Think about that, 30 seconds. A tragic situation and a horrible outcome. All these incidents are awful and are unacceptable violence. Arrests and apprehensions have been made in all homicide incidents this year. I am sure that we have all seen some, if not all, of the press conference that was done last Saturday down in the Grand Central Station complex. Important words spoken by the governor, the mayor, our police commissioner, and the MTA chair. We all heard them. I won't try to expound on what was said or to explain further what was said. That would be unnecessary. We understand the gravity of the issues we are facing and remain fully determined to address them. We have made strong efforts to enhance our uniform presence on the trains and platforms this year. With the announcements made on Saturday, this effort now grows stronger and larger. Thousands of additional officer tours weekly, up to 300 stations will be manned at peak hours, and additional train runs will be made. This is not just a Transit Bureau effort, this is an NYPD effort. When we speak of the words that we are talking, that we are working hard to fight crime or fight significant quality of life fare evasions, I want you to know these are not just words that are written on a page, that go into a plan, and then is placed in a book somewhere. When I say fight crime, those are words that are being fully realized, put in motion, and proactively acted on every day by our NYPD officers. So far this year, we have accomplished a 46% increase in overall arrests, a 65% increase in robbery arrests, a 28% increase in gun arrests, including 2 males last week that were stopped by officers walking through the fare gate without paying at Stillwell Avenue armed with loaded firearms. We also have a 53% increase in transit-related summonses, a total of which now exceeds 90,000 summonses issued for infractions of transit rules and regulations. This includes a 170% increase in summonses for quality of life violations. Felony assaults, where the victim has received a stabbing or slashing injury, account for around 20% of our total assaults. And we have put a strong focus on this all year long. We have made over 680 arrests for cutting instruments in the subway system, a 102% increase over last year, and a 200% increase over the last 4 weeks. plus a 241% increase in transit tab summonses for carrying weapons in the system. On October 20th, our TPF, or Transit Patrol Force officers, stopped a 44-year-old male for possession of a knife at Metropolitan Avenue in Brooklyn. That male was carrying with him 3 knives, 2 box cutters, brass knuckles, and pepper spray, mace. On October 21st, the next day, a 20-year-old male pulled out a knife and menaced our officers who were conducting end-of-the-line homeless operations at Stillwell Avenue. The male, who had significant prior, mostly disturbed history, was taken into custody safely, and the knife was recovered. And yesterday, at around 2 in the morning, we stopped a 46-year-old male for fare evasion, again, at the 168th Street station in Upper Manhattan. A computer check showed that male to be wanted for a stabbing incident on October 12th on the number 1 train at West 50th Street. That suspect is also notable in that he has 5 prior criminal possession of weapon arrests, including knives and pepper spray, in the transit system since 2020. These are important arrests, and they highlight that we are preventing potential and future additional acts of violence by making such arrests. One issue the governor and the mayor spoke emphatically on Saturday was the word care, a focus on caring for the homeless and for those with mental illness that are often seen in our subway system. This is significant when you see that over 30% of those that we have arrested so far in 2022 in transit for a serious major crime have prior mostly disturbed aided history. This number rises to over 40% when you look at our arrests this year for murder and felony assault. Much has been done this year in that area by the NYPD in our collaborative daily and nightly efforts with the New York City Department of Homeless Services and the Department of Health. Tens of thousands of homeless contacts made, thousands of placements into shelter and referrals for service, and several hundred taken to area hospitals for immediate attention for those needing medical issues addressed or in mental crisis. The words of deep commitment spoken last Saturday will help us strive and accomplish much more to help the homeless. Now, thankfully, some promising news. On October 17th, a new police academy class of police officers graduated. We have now been assigned 63 new police officers who will begin their patrol careers in our subway training units. Their added presence is needed and very much welcome. They are being immediately plugged into our mission of fighting crime in the subways. In addition, in a joint effort with our Community Affairs Bureau, precinct crime prevention officers will be disseminating important crime prevention materials to riders at 20 stations. This effort will be done daily from 7 to 10 in the morning and from 4 to 7 p.m. in the afternoon until November 6th. I also want to mention that we greatly value our long-standing and strong partnership with the MTA police in our shared mission to protect the riders on the trains and commuter rails. We coordinate with them now on our joint mission to address homelessness at the end-of-line stations. We will continue closely to coordinate and work with the MTA Police Department on their additional patrol presence at commuter hub stations such as Grand Central Station and Penn Station to ensure maximized uniform visibility at these locations. It continues to be a challenging year, but the ridership is returning, as President Davey said. I saw it firsthand riding the very crowded train cars on Saturday afternoon. Some were tourists, some were going up to the Yankee game, but most were just New Yorkers riding the trains and getting where they needed to go. I want to express again to the subway ridership, the NYPD is there for you, and we are there with you on the trains, in the stations. Thank you.
Chief, Andrew, just have some questions. You said 300 more tours? Is that what you said in the beginning?
So it's going to be in upwards of thousands of more officer tours weekly.
Okay.
And we're going to be looking to put officers coverage during the peak hours at upwards of 300 train stations throughout the system.
Okay. And will you share deployment numbers with us at some point, or?
I will certainly, we share that with the police department, and I'm sure that we'll share that with the MTA, because it's not just a joint effort. I mean, it is a joint effort. We're working with the MTA police. It's precinct officers, it's my transit officers, it's, strategic response group officers, and I mentioned crime prevention officers coming down. It's not just a transit effort, it's a team effort, for the entire NYPD, working, in a multi-agency response to really, kind of bring this back. The ridership is there. I see it. You saw it. You mentioned it. And it's not just on the weekdays anymore. It's on the weekends. Those trains are crowded. So this is a commitment, a 7-day commitment to safety.
So the 62 police officers that you said graduated in October, they're joining how many more, or do you have a number? Or
So we have, we picked up 63 new police officers out of the academy last week. So they join our pre-existing subway training unit. The academy class that we got in April has now graduated their training, and we've transitioned them now. Half went to districts and half went to our TPF to do overnight train patrols. So that brings our, head count of over 2,000 police officers right now in Transit Bureau.
in the Transit Bureau? Okay, thank you. Andrew?
Thanks, Chief, for everything you and all your officers are doing for us.
Thank you, sir.
It's really making a difference, I think. I've been riding quite frequently, as I normally do, and I see the crowds building, and I do see police officers occasionally now. My question for you is, obviously there are 472 stations, and they are very different. Some are just, side-by-side local platforms. Others are very detailed centers of commerce and change and transfers and everything. What instructions are the officers given when they are patrolling a station? Are they told to stay in a particular place? Are they told to stroll? Do they check non-staffed entrances, sort of deserted passageways, all aspects of a station, or are they stationed in one place and that's where they stay?
So just to give you a sense of that, so when a transit officer does a station inspection, I expect them to, like you said, move around, look around, stroll, go through the passageways, kind of touch all the ends. But one thing we are trying to promote and to push forward in greater aspect is we want them to spend some time at the conductor's position, the zebra stripes, and we want them to make eye contact, vocal contact. When that conductor pulls in and they put down their window, we want the contact to be made, and then we hope that the conductor will then, over the loudspeaker system, advise the riders that on that train that there are police officers in the train at the station. So that's something we're promoting. We're pushing it very hard with our subway training unit, our rookies. We're expecting them to do that a lot. We did a flyer, an informational flyer for the precinct officers that aren't really transit officers. When they come down to do their verticals, we want them also to, one, we tell them where the zebra stripes are, what it is, how to do this, and we're looking for them to do that as well. We're trying to really force multiply the amount of contact we have with the conductors so that they can advise the riders that we're there. And also we're looking, when the conductors come into a train station where there's a transit district, to also advise the riders that there's a police station in the station, Columbus Circle being a great example of that.
So when they're given instructions, is it based on the stations that they need to patrol and how different they may be from another group of stations? Like if it's just local stations with a side-by-side platform, they're visible.
Yeah.
But if it's a more complex station with all kinds of passageways and everything, they're not so visible.
No, I mean, we'll take it. Let's go to Queens, for example. Willets Point, when you're at coming out of City Field, you can see pretty much everything across. When you go to 74th and Roosevelt, obviously different story. It's you got the 7 all the way up, and then you go all the way down, and the mezzanine. So many stations are like that. Canal Street. If you've been to the Canal Street complex, it's like a maze.
Yep.
So you really have to kind of know your whereabouts. The transit officers, they know this. They live it. They work it every day. So as the patrol officers come down, obviously, we want them to make contact with the booth, acknowledge the booth clerk, get on the platform, move around, and definitely make contact with those conductors. You know, as they become more, familiar with those larger train stations, they'll obviously become better at navigating them, like our transit officers are.
My last question, I promise. How long are officers patrolling a station? Are they there for a week? Do they get their transfer? Are they transferred to another division or another group of stations?
So these are officers that are assigned to districts. They are going to be officers assigned to precincts. Much of it is going to be extension of their ordinary tour. So if they do, if they work in the morning hours, they'll be extended into the evening hours, and here's the force multiplier. Those additional officers are going to overlap with the officers that are coming in for the evening. And our goal is to maximize as many cops in as many stations and as on many trains, because we're still very committed to doing train runs as we can with the overlap. We don't want overlap. We want to maximize efficiency. We want to maximize presence.
Questions for Chief? Okay, if not, thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Let's move on to Lou. Lou, do we have any transit procurements this month?
Yes, we do. Thank you. The New York City Transit procurement package includes 4 actions in the amount of $1.85 billion. We are seeking your approval today to exercise the federally funded Option 1 of the R211 subway car contract to purchase 640 additional cars, related non-car items, and training from Kawasaki Railcar in the estimated amount of $1.782 billion. The cars will be CBTC equipped, configured in 5 car operating units, and will serve as replacements for the R46 fleet that run on the A, C, N, Q, and W lines. Like the base cars, these closed-end cars will be fully CCTV equipped. Executing this option will ensure continuous production from the base car to Option 1 cars, and delivery will take place from February 2025 through December 2026. Pricing for the option cars was established in the base contract at the time of contract award, to which an adjustment formula also established in the base, reflecting changes in labor and material cost indices, currency exchange rates, and other agreed-upon factors as applied. Any change orders issued for the base cars are also included. Negotiations for this option centered on collateralized alternate advance payments and delivery schedule. The final price of $1.782 billion was deemed fair and reasonable. The remaining actions are a 5-year, $7.1 million competitive multi-agency contract with Placer America for parts, repair services, troubleshooting, and training, and to support various maintenance of way equipment, including the sophisticated electronic systems on the track geometry cars. All 3 agencies, New York City Transit, MTA, Metro North, and Long Island Railroad, all have similarly equipped equipment. All equipment and related components were either manufactured by Placer or manufactured by others and integrated by Placer into their equipment. The next item is award of a modification to the post-award engineering consulting services for the R211 subway car contract to C2K Partners for additional engineering support services in the estimated amount of $32.3 million for the Department of Subways Division of Car Equipment. The final item is a ratification of a declaration of an immediate operating need to approve the purchase of 20 paratransit Ford cutaway buses manufactured by Coach and Equipment Manufacturing, and 20 paratransit Ford Transit vans from Fenton Mobility Products in the total amount of $4.1 million. I submit these procurements for board approval.
And Lou, all this is already factored into the capital budget. We're just moving things around.
Well, they're not all capital.
Not capital.
The R211
I
is
shouldn't, right, I'm
Yes.
sorry, in the budget, I should say.
Yes, absolutely. And I think I mentioned it's federally funded as well.
Oh, did you? I didn't hear that.
If I didn't, yes, I did, but if I didn't, I apologize.
Okay, sorry, I didn't hear that. I apologize. Andrew?
I'm going to move these, but I do have a question, Lou. I assume delivery was discussed with Kawasaki, as the current 211s have been a little slow in arriving?
Yes, absolutely. Delivery was an important factor of the negotiations for the option. We negotiated a delivery rate that has a very acceptable average number of cars per month that we think Kawasaki can well accommodate, and we're comfortable that it should be met.
Thank you.
And-
I'll move it.
And it has continuous production as well, which is
Right, I was gonna say,
the
and
advantage
what-
we were trying to get.
And if they don't, I don't want to say, what happens if they can't meet the schedule? Do we have any
Yes, there
cushion
are
built in?
There are liquidated damages in the
Okay.
contract that would apply based upon lateness per day.
Okay. Midori?
Thank you, Lou. I think I have two questions. So first, I saw 20 open gangway cars are part of this option. Just wanted to know, one, if that's in the capital plan already, or two, why not more? If we're kind of moving forward in that direction, I thought there were some gangway cars as part of the 2018 procurement, so that's
Yeah,
my
there-
first
there
question.
There are no open gangway cars as part of this option.
Okay, this
The op-
option is
the-
not
The
any.
open gangway cars are the ones that are part of the test. There are 20 open gangway cars, and we're going to be doing rigorous testing on various elements of the operational safety and things of that nature. That would flavor our decision for option 2.
I see.
But
So-
no, there were no open gangway cars as part of this
Okay,
option.
thank you for that clarification. So that means that we wouldn't even get any open gangway cars until 2026, anything bigger
Well,
in
these
terms
these
of...
will be closed-end cars.
Okay,
All right?
okay,
And then we'll
thank you.
contemplate open gangway on option 2.
Okay, thank you. And Andrew highlighted concerns around, delivery. I know that there were issues in Nebraska in terms of production or worker attrition. What happened in terms of the assurances that you've been given, and how comfortable is the MTA with
Okay,
those assurances?
So a couple of things. On the base contract, we've worked very, very closely with Kawasaki, obviously in terms of the lateness to try to identify, what occurred and what's excusable, but more so in terms of working with them on an achievable schedule now for the base cars, as well as I indicated, the continuous production for the option cars. We feel very confident that Kawasaki is now in a position to achieve these delivery schedules.
Rich wants to add something.
Oh, sorry.
Before you.
Thank you. Just on the open gangway, just to be clear, the open gangway cars, the 20 are coming in the next couple of months, as I understand it, from the underlying is exactly. And so I think that's why we chose not to have an option in this option, Midori, because we want to actually test them. But as Lou mentioned, we'll test them very rigorously and come to the board with a recommendation about that second option.
Let's say that it works out very well. They're all over the world. I don't know why they wouldn't work here. But going back a long time ago with the R40s, the first R40s that came with the slant cars, because that was like new and everything, and it turned out to be a mistake because of the ability of people to enter the cars, enter the train between cars. And so very quickly, a modification, the R40Ms were developed. It was a simple fix then, just put a different end on it. Is there a possibility that if it becomes successful, that you could change this contract to get more open gangway cars?
Not this option 1, but definitely it's being contemplated for the second option.
And how many cars is it the full 600 is this option? You mentioned
No,
600.
this option is 640.
640,
Option
wow.
2 is 437 cars.
So there's no chance that this could be
We
changed?
did not contemplate cutting it in.
Okay, thank you.
If not, entertain a motion to approve the procurements. Andrew? Lisa, second by Lisa. No? All those in favor? Against? Motion passed. Thank you, Lou. Okay. Audit Committee, second. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Audit is going to start immediately.